So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. I'm your host, Hector, and today I'm joined by a new band called Disguised Malignance, and they're a old school death metal band from Helsinki, Finland, and they're about to release their debut album on Prosthetic Records on September the 29th. So I have the members here from the band. So first of all, guys, thank you for being on the couch with me. And how are you today in Finland?
Our pleasure. And yeah, like we just talked about earlier, we just finished practicing, so we're just chilling in the practice space right now, rehearsing for the
Awesome.
record release show in a couple of weeks.
So yeah, I listened to the record, and you guys, you're a very young band. This is your debut record, but this record is really influenced in that 90s old school death metal style. Like,
Yeah, correct.
uh, I'm guessing you guys growing up, that was like a sound that you really loved. Tell us a little bit about, uh, the sound of the band and just the history of the band, how you guys got together.
All right, so basically me and Atos, who's the bassist, unfortunately he's not here right now, but we formed the band as a two-piece in 2021, and it was more of a just like a fun project we wanted to do. And then we made one demo, and then we started taking it more serious, and we wanted to make more death metal style music because we were playing in a thrash band prior to that, so we already like we were doing stuff, but we just wanted to make a different sound, and so we started taking it more seriously, and then we got this lineup together in 2022 before the summer, I think. And yeah, since then we've been practicing and making the first album, and just playing live basically.
Yeah. So you guys, obviously you guys are a newer band, and what made you change from thrash metal to old school death metal? Did you have like a preference for the old school death metal sound?
I mean, for me personally, I think when I first got to death metal, it was very quick. First I started listening to bands like Metallica and stuff like that. The basic bands. But then already like maybe a year and a half after that, I was getting into death metal a lot. And then at one point, I didn't listen to a lot of other stuff than just old school death metal, pretty much. So I just liked it a lot, and I just wanted to make a band that played old school death metal, I guess. Yeah, but I really like the style and all the other guys, I think.
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
If
Everyone can talk. I see that you guys can all talk. It's
Yeah. We actually joined, like, him and Atos. They wrote and recorded the album like together, like as a two-piece, and so we don't have that much effect, control over the sound, but we like it. We like it
for
very
the
much.
first album, at least.
Yeah.
well, the good thing is if people don't like it, you can blame them.
Yeah.
You're like, no,
That's-
it wasn't us, it was them. Blame them. We were just, hey, they just got us here to play. We're playing what they set us to play. But
Exactly.
maybe for the next record, everyone can, you'll be more time together, experience, and
Well,
oh,
that's what we're
there's someone else there.
Yeah, it's the other guitarist.
I'm just hiding in the corner.
Yeah, he's hidden. He doesn't want to show
Oh,
up for
okay.
some reason.
Yeah, I'm like, there's someone else there. I just saw him.
So,
Maybe you can
this is
squeeze together so we can see everyone.
yeah.
Let's try.
So like I said, we're missing one guy right now because he got kind of sick today, but we're still
Oh, but
strong as a 4P.
It's okay. It's the bassist. No, I'm joking. It's
Yeah.
it's a bassist joke. Uh,
Well,
so the name of the album, I'm gonna show the artwork of the upcoming album, which is very old school death metal. Here's the cover for Entering the Gateways. And when you look at this album cover, you're getting old school death metal. Tell me a little bit about what inspired this artwork.
So basically, at this point, when we wanted the artwork done, it was still kind of, just basically because it was me and Atos made the record, so we wanted the artwork to be like how we wanted, like exactly. So we contacted this Finnish painter called Mara Hiltunen, and we just wanted to make something that looks like the old Florida stuff, the Seagrave stuff. You know, as you can see, there's some influence from that. And then
Yeah.
the first Demigod album, Slumber of Stolen Eyes, is, you know, you can kind of see the similarities in that one. I think so. It kind of, you know, it has that old school look, and then it also kind of represents how the album sounds and progresses. I think, you know, from it starts with this kind of like very death metal style, this cave, you know what I'm talking about, with the weird eyes and stuff like that, and then it goes forward in the cave, and then there's this portal and this eye thing. We kind of, it throws you into the gateways. So that was the idea, basically.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to be caught in that gateway. It doesn't look like a fun place, but yeah, it looks very old school death metal. So yeah, when you look at this album artwork, you know what you're going to get. So you released 3 singles so far. I think first you released Malignant Visions, then Confined, and the newest one is Unearthly Extinction, and that one is my favorite.
It's my favorite too.
Yeah, my
It's,
favorite.
it's our favorite too.
It's the
Yeah,
best song.
let's talk a little bit about that track of Unearthly Extinction. What is that song about? It sounds obviously like the end of the world, but like, just tell us a little bit about that song.
All right, so basically that's more of kind of like a very sci-fi sort of story or something like that. It's basically from the perspective of like this unearthly entity, which is like in a higher dimension that us humans are, and so we can perceive it, but basically it's got these intentions of ending humanity pretty viciously. And so that's basically the story for that one.
I'm guessing you're focused more on the alien sci-fi movies or Predator and not E.T. I don't know if you guys remember the E.T. movie from the 80s where the alien came to heal you and he was your friend. So there were 2 types of alien movies.
Yeah, maybe it's
more like Lovecraftian.
Yeah, that song's got a pretty much like a heavy Lovecraft vibe going on.
Yeah, I was reading that you're very into H.P. Lovecraft, and you know a lot of death metal bands are. There's a death metal band here from Puerto Rico that's called Ritual Cannabis, and they had a full album that it was all about H.P. Lovecraft. Obviously, they love their cannabis as well. So yeah, they're a cool death metal band here from Puerto Rico. And yeah, so how did you get into H.P. Lovecraft? Because you know it's very interesting, his subject matter.
Well, for me personally, I wouldn't say even that we're like directly that much influenced by his stories or anything like that. I would say it's more of a kind of the atmosphere of this idea of Lovecraftian horror or the fear of the unknowable. And so I can't say a whole lot about his, you know, his books or his stories because I've only read like a couple, but you know, more of the feeling really got me.
He's an artist. He creates his own thing, like not from H.P. Lovecraft, but from his own mind, inspired by H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah, it's kind of, you know, but what I'm saying basically, we're not that directly influenced, you know, by his stories or by the, you know, the mythos or anything like that. But it's more the kind of the atmosphere that he creates that I like.
So yeah, it's not like a concept album per se. It's more like some themes loose to that. Yeah,
and then some themes like that, which on like tracks like Unearthly Extinction, they're very strong. But then there's also like introspection and, you know, just weird artistic stuff that, you know, that was going on in my head. I just wanted to make that into lyrics, I guess. So
when you guys were creating the logo of the band, because obviously when you do like an extreme metal band or the old school death metal, the logo has to be as unreadable as possible. Because how did you guys like, we have to make this so unreadable that people will know how brutal we are? Because I've seen some have you seen those memes that there's like a tree and it says like there's a metal band name some there? But yeah, I like it because it's old school, but you still can read the logo. When you guys were like forming, how did you came up with the name Disguised Malignance?
All right. So basically, the name was I came up with it in like 2020, I think, when we had the thrash band still, and I suggested it as a song name, but it never turned out to be a song for that band, so it just kind of stuck around in my head. And then when it came time to choose the name for the band, it was floating around in my head, so I just thought maybe it's a cool name, and it's not any one thing. It doesn't mean any one thing. It's just kind of can mean anything to anyone, and everybody kind of perceives it differently, I think. But what can I say? It sounds cool. It's got some cool letters, and it's got this cryptic, slimy feel to it, and it's got many meaning for many people, I think.
Yeah. So how's the Finnish old school death metal scene? Because I know that Finland has, I think it's the country in the world. I was talking to another band from Finland like a month ago, and it's like per capita, there's the most metal bands in the world are in Finland.
Yeah.
So it's like every street there's a metal band there. So how's the old school death metal scene over there?
Right now,
Yeah.
Right now, it's pretty big.
yeah,
it's huge right now.
it's very good. Actually, we talked about this a couple days ago with you, and we had Antti from Cadaveric Incubator with the little podcast thing. But we just talked about, because he was in the Finnish scene in the 90s, so we talk about like how he sees it is, and he just said like now it's even bigger than it was in the 90s. Like it's the biggest it's been ever right now. There's lots of young bands playing different style of extreme music, like from thrash to death, a lot of black metal, speed metal, and stuff like that. So it's great right now, and especially death metal. It's
Yeah, I've seen a lot of like newer bands embracing like not only like death metal, but black metal, thrash metal, even some alternative grunge from the 90s and 80s. So it's all coming back full circle. Obviously, every band gives it like a new flair to it. For you guys growing up, which one was your favorite old school death metal band?
Oh.
I would say maybe for me it started with Cannibal Corpse, and then Morbid Angel is the other big one, and then Death. But those are all basic.
I didn't even listen to death metal growing up. Like I only started listening to death metal like in the past 3 or 4 years. And
So
it was a
did they make you listen to death metal so you could play in the
no,
band?
no, no, no. I
I'm
didn't know
kidding.
any of these. But yes, I was always a big like thrash metal guy, like all the underground thrash metal bands and such. I grew up with those bands, and suddenly I found like Morbid Angel, Covenant album, and some early Entombed stuff, and that was it. Like it just started this
Endless
domino effect,
spiral.
so to say.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Awesome.
pretty much, yeah, I was just
So
gonna
that-
say that I've only listened to death metal for so many years, like maybe 4 years or less, even like 3.5 years now. So it was just kind of you find it in social media or YouTube or something like that. You find Cannibal Corpse and Death, Morbid Angel. You just kind of go from there, I guess.
Okay. So you guys are putting out the record on the 29th. So what are the upcoming months looking for the band? Are you guys playing like shows, some festivals? What's coming up for the band?
There's not really many festivals in Finland, like
Yeah.
later in the year.
Yeah, no, there's not a lot. There's
In
even
the summertime, there's few.
even the underground festivals are like basically over by now. We played Helsinki Death Fest last month. It was great, but now
like a 2 days notice.
on like a 2 days notice, we were copying for Festigor because they had to cancel. But basically the next months, we're playing shows around Finland. We're this far that we're in a band right now. We're only played like in a very narrow area, kind of, basically Helsinki area. So now we're getting shows in other cities, which is good, and hopefully we could go overseas or even in the neighbor countries as soon as possible.
Yeah, I know that people here, like for example, in Puerto Rico, the metal scene, people love old school death metal. So I'm sure that a lot of people will get to like, hey, we'll check out the band when they see this because like people like old school death metal. Because I don't know, it reminds them of those bands that you mentioned growing up. Your band for me sounds a little bit like I think it has more Morbid Angel than Cannibal Corpse, a little bit in the sound. At least for me, in the sound of the album. So so yeah, you're going to release the record. Are you gonna have it on vinyl? What formats will it be available on?
Yeah, so the formats it'll be on basically all the major formats, like you said, vinyl, CD, then cassette, and obviously digital, at least for now.
Yeah, no, everyone's now like buying a lot of vinyl and other types of the cassettes and everything. It's like a thing it's coming back. So
Yeah, it's like
yeah,
right
so
now.
it's awesome, that you guys are getting to play this music and ready to make a name for yourself. So so if you would like if you had to pick another genre that wasn't old school death metal, what other type of like music would you guys like to play, or will you like keep it old school death metal, or will you like combine other styles for future releases?
Um, I would say we're open to incorporating other styles. Even now that the first album, it's got influences from other styles of music. Especially towards the end of the album, and so it's kind of hinting maybe in the direction that we could be taking even more of those influences in the future.
The more progressive side of things.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, and
Yeah, there's a
making
lot of bands in death metal that have done that death metal and done the progressive thing. I'm trying to think of a band. I think that last year they put out an album that wasn't even death metal. It was all like
Temptation.
Blood Incantation. Thank you. I was like, it was in the top of my mind. Yeah, and they did that, and I listened to it. And I'm like, yeah, it's very interesting. It sounded like a soundtrack for like a 2001: A Space Odyssey or something like that.
Wow.
So I think, yeah, right now I think like music is subjective. I think bands can experiment and do different stuff, and I like that old school death metal mixed with some prog and maybe some thrash to it to give it like a different element. So guys, I want to thank you, for taking some time out of your practice day
No problem.
to
Pleasure.
to chat with me here on the couch, and I hope that you're gonna have an album release show, right?
Yeah.
Is it gonna be on the 29th of September?
Yes.
Yes.
29th.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
great show.
It's a good day. It's one day after my birthday, so
Oh, cool.
yeah.
Cool.
So yeah, if I was in Finland, I would totally go to that, but I'm pretty far away. But yeah, I'm
Yeah.
sure it's gonna be a cool show, and it's cool to see like young people embracing this style, and we need to pass the torch from the old school bands to newer bands, so metal can keep on living. So so for you guys, like once you put this out, like if you could, like, what is the dream tour or like the dream festival that you're like, oh my god, we would so like love to play that festival?
Well, probably like Tuska in Finland.
Yeah, that would be
Yeah.
great. Because Tuska is, for Finnish metal fans, is like the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And to play as a Finnish band at Tuska, I think it would be like the greatest achievement you can get, or one of the greatest. Yeah, it's like the biggest festival
in the northern countries.
hemisphere.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Nordic countries, yeah.
So Tuska for sure. That would be great.
Awesome. So I'm gonna leave the link here for the pre-order, so the people that want to pre-order the album can do it, and maybe a link to one of your music videos so people can watch it and get to see what the band is all about. So until next time, people, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you.
All right.